On today's show, episode 43 of the Real Recovery podcast, we have an extraordinary conversation with Patty. She opens up about her journey from addiction and incarceration to finding recovery and purpose through the support of Oxford House. Her story highlights the transformative power of community and resilience. Now let's dive into this inspiring episode.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host, on this journey of healing and transformation. Together with my co-host, Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
Of recovery, real recovery.
Hi, this is Julie. Welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm so grateful to be here today with my partner,
Peter. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
And today our guest is Patty. She's nervous, and don't worry about it. Seriously, it's such a casual, there's no wrong or right. So you can't fuck up. I swear to God. I promise. And you can say fuck. So it's all good. We met Patty at the Out in Recovery conference by True Colors with Amanda. And I asked her to be on the podcast then. She didn't want to do it that day in the conference room. We have a little special on that too. We did it as a bonus show. So if you want to hear that, it's out there. But welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, I think that episode is 36, and it was extra 36.1. So if you guys want to look back at that and listen.
It's one of the better live ones because we actually had a spot.
Yeah, it was cool. And also what I enjoyed was we had Christina on there who talked about Two-Spirited. She's a Native American, and that was really cool to hear about that. We gotten a little taste of that before with Melissa, who talked about it as well. And I don't know, it just struck a chord with me. I like that, being two-spirited. But anyways.
And we're going to release that one of those shows again for the holidays. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we'll have those available. Jared and Melissa and the extra.
Just so you know, Peter works very hard editing these live events. I can't tell you. He takes little snippets of Julie talking, and you might not hear Peter as much. It's because he's got the headphones on. He's orchestrating everything. He's checking the levels of the voices to make sure he gets it. And then he puts all these little storms together and makes a beautiful piece. And I don't think people really know how hard he works behind the scenes.
It does take a bit of effort to do the live ones, more effort than just sitting here and chatting with people.
Yeah, it is. What you hear me do,
right?
Look, comes naturally. I can talk all day.
And you were managing the table at the event? You had a table?
I am constantly at table events, presentations, community partners, but we were next to you guys at Out in Recovery and then Walk for Recovery. I see you guys there as well.
Yeah.
I'm always at a mall, or you'll see me in a little block in the community partner meetings or anything like that.
I love that. I love that. So how did it all get started? And how'd you get started? And what was the process? And how'd you get to where you are now?
We could start off I grew up in California. I grew up in a broken home. My parents, my biological father and my mother, they got married and divorced twice. So we were constantly, either we've lived in cars, we've lived in garages. But I think by the age of 9, my mom had met my stepdad. So we had moved in with them. I guess I lived my life based off of, I was always a double personality kind of person. I went to school, I did the great things, top DARE student, but my family was filled with those drug addicts and mental health. And so I was over there helping them, which I didn't know at the time, either sell drugs or produce the drugs, and then watch my cousins, because there was many of us. Just through my whole life, going through school, I was a great student. I would have passed high school at the age of 16, but I messed up on the test. I'm really bad at math. So there was that. And then I would have graduated with honors, but I thought going off and getting 7 pounds of dope was going to be a lot better than that. And there goes my high school career. And yeah, so my whole life I've been.
When you say 7 pounds of dope,
methamphetamines.
I was going to say, what kind of dope?
Wow.
It was a family business, and I was going to work myself up to the top of the ladder.
You had aspirations.
I did.
Girl.
And then that was the seed that was planted and watered through my whole childhood and into my young adulthood.
That's a hard business to get in.
It is.
It's very not trustworthy. And because I used to buy drugs from the manufacturer back when meth was
Especially
meth.
being a woman. It was like, where's your boyfriend? It's okay. I had to be that person to kick doors in or collect money. And my aunts were the front runners of helping me step up that ladder because they were there. Biker family, gang related. But it was what I didn't know at the time, a hard life, because it was all I knew.
Yeah.
So it was fine. It wasn't fine, but
You think it's the norm.
it was the norm, and I didn't know anything different. I think the first time I got in trouble, I was 16, got out of that. I did my probation, all of that like little minor stuff, and then it lasted until I think 2006. I got my first DUI. My first and only DUI, but and it was in Nevada, so that kind of spiraled in.
Nevada's harsh.
Wow.
No business doing anything there. But yeah, through my young adulthood until October 6, 2017 is when I found recovery. And I think it was the first time somebody had ever said, hey, you need help, right? I was in front of the judge. They were reading off a discovery. I was getting my second delivery charge. And this discovery.
So this is after the DUI?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have so many failure to appears or.
You get points.
Yeah.
I know how the system
all
works.
of this stuff. And I ended up throughout my whole criminal life was 9 felonies, 3 different states. And my last charge was a delivery charge. And I'm sitting in front of that judge, and they're reading off a really descriptive discovery that I was talking to the cops about their mothers and just being a ill-minded little twat. And she just looked at me and says, you need help. I'm going to sentence you to RSAT, drug court. And that was the first time it took back. I was just like, what? I'm not going to go to prison again because I can do that. And
How long did you do in prison?
I did in Nevada. I went to prison for yet another delivery charge. I did 1.5 years. And when I first started my transfer over to prison, I did 11 months in county from Oregon to California to Nevada. And I was looking at 10 to life, right? Because I had sold drugs to somebody who was wearing a wire.
Oh.
And then, so I did 11 months in county, and this young lady never showed up to court. I got let off on probation. I didn't last 12 hours. I got off on December 1st, went back to jail on December 2nd because I was high and drunk by the time I had to check in the morning. Off to prison I went for probation violation and tampering with material witness because they had saved text messages and stuff that I had sent to that young lady's husband telling her never to show up. It's just the depths of the
criminality.
Yeah, the criminality and then the addiction. I couldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was death. It doesn't matter if it was prison. If it was death, I was going to go down in a blaze of glory. If it was prison, I was just going to keep racking those prison years up. And it was an odd badge of honor until that fateful day that Judge Simmons in Roseburg was like, you need help.
Okay.
And and I haven't looked back since. I did 120 days in RSAD. It's in jail treatment. We are segregated off to the side and we do our classes 120 days. And you come out in a phase 2 of drug court. I had a wonderful probation officer, Dave Sparks, who just first probation officer that I ever felt cared about, like the trajectory of your life, right? And the judge.
I understand.
Yeah. Like once people started caring about the way I was acting, my life and my mentality started to change. And once again, like I wanted to get out 120 days. I got out and there was in the parking lot a car full of drugs and people. And then there was my mother and Oxford House sitting in the parking lot.
So your mother wasn't a part of the family?
She wasn't. She was more or less the foster care for the family. She took over my grandmother's role because the kids were always in and out of foster cares and things like that. So I have an adopted younger brother and adopted 2 little sisters. She adopted them. She got them out of foster care, and then they would go back eventually to the parents and stuff. She had done her drugs, but she hadn't done her drugs. My dad had passed away my stepdad, he was a big, huge part of our life, but he had passed away in 2004. And so we had from skin cancer. So my mom, right after that, adopted my little brother, which is her youngest sister's like 3rd child. Yeah. And then he is now 22 years old. He was 9 months younger than my daughter. So they grew up together and stuff. So my mom wasn't always a part of the drug field. She stayed away from all the aunts and uncles.
So aunts and uncles were in the parking lot?
No, I had friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In Roseburg, they were there just like anybody else. That my story is pretty similar, that you don't make it out of the parking lot sober, right? You don't make it to that PO. I have never made it to the POs. I have never made it to a drug court, UA, or anything like that. But because my mother was in that parking lot and Oxford House was in that parking lot, and I had done my interview for Oxford House while I was incarcerated, I came out not having a penny to my name, and they still accepted me into the only women's house in that, it was then, but
in that county.
And
it's a small county.
Yeah. And I went in onto the couch. So I was happy to have it. And I was blessed to have it. It was a godsend.
I was going to say that was your higher power working.
What is on the couch, onto the couch?
So my first membership, or I didn't go directly into a room. I was on the couch for like, I think 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then I transitioned into a shared room, which was pretty magical.
Program though.
Wow.
Yeah.
To meet you at the door.
Yeah.
No money. That is one of the best things I've ever heard. Unlike you, I was so scared to go back to prison. The thoughts of doing anything never crossed my mind.
Oh, yeah. It's all a part of the life for me. Even when I was incarcerated, I still had that mentality of a tank boss or just an ill-minded person. I was a scared young lady that had lost so many people, and that was my life. And even when I was incarcerated in the program, I had 2 other women in the small cell with us, and they weren't even allowed to get up until the trays came or until I was awake. They were to sit there and be quiet, right? Or I was going to handle them. And it took a young lady coming in who knew the program. It was a couple of DUIs, but she got up in the morning, did her morning routine, which I didn't like. So I was like, okay, so we're going to have to do some ground rules, right? You don't get up at this time and you don't do this at this time. And she was like, well, we're going to have to talk to the counselors about this. And I thought, oh, so you're going to snitch on me. So I asked her, I invited her into the bathroom. We all know what that means. And she said, hey, I'm going to stop you right there. If you want to be a different person, and if you want to be the same person, then take that stuff over there. Because we're here to change our lives. We're not here to continuously be the person you are right now. So if you want to do that, you have the option to move over there. But right now, you also have the option to start being a better person right now. And I'd never been talked to that way. Wow. I was just like, what? So I sat down and I told her, tell me what you're doing right now. And we walked through a couple of the pages of the big book right then and there.
Oh, wow.
And we all sat down, and the girls came out of the back room, was no longer scared. And we all decided on a morning routine where we could all feel freely to be ourselves, wake up, shower in a line, who's going to go first and who's going to get out of the mirror, which is me first, because I was all about that physical appearance. But yeah, just the women and men in my life since I've hit my recovery, they have talked to me in a way that I've never been talked before. And it changes people. If you have never heard kindness or caring or anything like that before, and you say that to somebody, it could change their life potentially.
And I think also for me, no one wanted anything of me except for me to be sober.
Correct.
It was the first time that it was like unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted me to be safe and sober. And I think the world I came from, like the world you came from, though they're different, there's not a lot of trust. There's not a lot of anything.
With you being in that lifestyle and getting out, and it sounds like your friends were always there to take you right off the parking lot and go right back to where you were. How has that changed for you? Have you just had to sever all of that?
I did. And since it was a small town that I first got sober in, I was not a small person in that town. When I was out at the store, they would say, "Hi, Patty." And it was it only took a couple of times to say, "Hey, you no longer know me. So let's just not say hi anymore." When you have that year clean or when you are sober, or then you can say hi. But other than that, if we're in a general setting, like in a store, if we're not in a meeting, then you don't know me anymore. And I'd appreciate it. No more verbal contact.
Same thing. I only ran into a couple.
Setting your boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the first time I ever knew what a boundary was.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. If you want to meet me, I'll be at this meeting at 12 o'clock. And only one time did anybody ever show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think I hid behind, so when you first go into Oxford House, you have a 30-day blackout. I hid behind that. So friends were like, I'm glad you're sober. Let's go to the park or let's go out to eat. And I'm like, no, I have to be home at this time, or I'm not allowed to have people over, or I'm on a blackout. I got in trouble. I would hide behind that, which the house suggested that I do until I was strong enough to say no. I was always that person, I'll be right there, and never show up. But why not just start saying my truths? No, I don't feel like this is going to be ever beneficial. It's not what I'm looking for. No, I hid behind Oxford House, the blackout period. Even when I got my first paycheck, that was just like I was messaging my group chat on my way home, and they walked me all the way home because you get that first paycheck and we see, go out, you can buy a bunch of drugs again and flip it. Yeah, I hid behind that, and I went home, and I had a roommate go get my EES money order, and then I
love it.
Yeah.
How scared were you?
I'm still scared.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
It's a good fear, though.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, the fear of going back to prison is very powerful to me.
Yes.
And I don't break any laws. I drive like Grandma Moses.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not pulling me over. and I'm just saying, my tags are legal. My insurance is legal. My lease is in my name. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't realize until your freedom's taken how valuable it is. Mm-hmm. And I too, I have no friends before incarceration.
Correct.
None.
Because of Oxford House, I have some, like I've used with some of my friends that are now because they went into an Oxford House or they have that time in recovery. If I have used with you before and you don't have a year clean, then I don't communicate with you if it's on text message or in the streets or even on Facebook. I rarely accept any friend requests. It's a whole new way of living, and I have to be that way for my own safety. And it is what it is. And whoever can't accept that isn't on the same road that I am. So I'm okay with it.
Nor can they do their your time for you. That's like the heart, who you pick and choose to hang out with. And a distribution charge for you to get that much time, you must have had a lot of drugs.
Yes.
Yeah. Because otherwise you just get possession with intent to distribute. So a distribution charge is a lot more.
Yes. And it's scary. And I was mentally prepared to go do that time.
Really?
I have that much time underneath me in jail. I know that many people in each prison through California, Nevada. I knew that many. And it's just, now it's not the freedom that takes me or that scares me. It's being that person, being that angry, scared, self-destructive, and even personally destructive to anybody else person. It's like a weight has lifted off of my life, off of my shoulders, and out of my heart, right? I don't ever want to go back to that. It's smothering. Yeah, losing who I am today is more fearful of going back and doing any more time. My daughter is 22. She is proud of her mom. She lives in Michigan. I just lost my mother in August, but she got to see me have 7 years clean. And she was so proud. I had my first legit car. And I make payments, but like you said, it's mine and I hold it very close to me. I have friends who genuinely want to see me succeed. And then when they ask, are you okay? I'm like, it's because I have only to offer them is who I am. And
yeah, they're not after something. They're not wanting something from you.
Exactly.
I remember when I got my license back and I was high on being legal driving.
Right.
Just like I got my license, you can't because I had to go to court to get my license back. And the judge said to me, you did this ass backwards. You got a car, insurance, and then your license. And he was like, and I was like, and it was, no, the parole officer went with me and she vouched for me. She said, she's actually doing really good. And he let me make payments on my license. And yeah, and him and her knew each other. And so if I fucked that up, I fucked up with her. Yeah, it was, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's very exciting. And paying for your car with honest money.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how much more you appreciate that bitch.
Yeah. It's not stolen. I think for the first year I had my car, or I don't think. So, funny story. I'm sitting in Clackamas County. It's the first year I have my car. And I'm waiting for one of my coworkers to come out of her waxing appointment. And I'm sitting there and it is so hot. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot. And the other young lady in the car with me was like, why don't you put on your air conditioner? And I was just like, it just dawned on me, I have an air conditioner.
Wow.
I went the whole summer not realizing you have an air conditioner in a legit car. You can roll up the windows. It's 2018. Roll up the window, turn on the air conditioner, and it is what it is. I was just like, wow, I was just like, what a concept, right?
Yeah.
I have my own air conditioner, and it didn't even dawn on me because I have just lived that life for so long that
didn't want to draw attention.
Yeah.
Turn the car on. Yeah.
Or like you didn't have an air conditioner. It was stolen. It was, you jumped out of it. You were getting arrested. It was going to the tow yard. But this is mine and I have an air conditioner. And there's no windows are broken and nothing's wrong with it. And I was just like, oops. So now it's a funny thing. Every time someone comes around and they're like, you got your air conditioner working? I'm like, shut up. Yeah. My fancy navigation in it. I love it.
It's a joke because my car doesn't have fancy navigation. And I'm always telling Peter, let's take your car because you can turn on the air conditioner with his keychain. And I said, mine will come. It'll get going good by the time we get home. But my car is paid for. And I appreciate that. I really do. Question for you. So our situations are different because I only went to prison once. And I wasn't prepared to do the time.
Right.
I was a little overwhelmed. And I'm not the statistic. 25 go, 1 learns the first time, comes out. 2, it takes 2 times. And then there's a few that go back. And then there's some that do life on the installment plan. They get out, they go back. How does it feel to break the cycle?
It feels still like I'm an imposter. am the first and only one in my family to break the cycle. Like my daughter doesn't do drugs or anything, but she also wasn't raised around my family. I think she had gotten taken around 8 or 9, and she went to live with her dad and her grandparents in Michigan. And we kept a conversation going. We kept a relationship going, and it's stronger now. But it's just, I still sometimes, even when I'm out with my job or talking to young ladies or men, that I'm an imposter. That like, I have 7 years clean, and it's still a little crazy. I don't talk to any of my family members.
I understand. Wow.
They all say I'm a snitch, which is cool because that's the way they get to cut that tie indefinitely. It still feels like I'm an imposter, but I feel wonderful about it.
The good thing is, as a snitch, you wouldn't be welcomed back into that community.
That's
that
right.
works.
And that's why they say it.
No,
I'm like, all right.
No, I hear what you're saying. And it's one or the other, how they are.
Mm-hmm.
It is. No, totally. And I also understand cutting off everyone. It's a hard thing to do. People don't understand to start your life completely over and not have a history of whatnot. What program did you go to when you got out?
Initially, I went to AA. I did NA. I've done Dharma recovery, Smart recovery.
I love it.
There is the criminology meetings.
Criminology.
Yeah.
Criminology.
That stuff that hits you. I'm just like the mental in there, like who to trust or what. Just it helps take the anger out of me. I've done anger management. I did the drug court. I do a lot of service work in Oxford House. I know I am an employee of Oxford House, but listen, I do a lot more service work than I do work. And it feels like I get paid to do service work for Oxford House and women and men in recovery. My life I have gold-plated problems now, which is still, I no longer wait for that other shoe to drop because I have put a cement foundation underneath me due to my recovery that I'm okay. Even with my mom's passing, I had wonderful friends that like instantly came to me and took me to a meeting, and they knew right where to place me because I couldn't place myself anywhere. My mom and I were really close, and I was just so happy that relapsing was not a thought in my head.
Yeah.
But what I needed was that fuel from my program of recovery and my friends to help me go on about the next day.
Yeah, I understand that. My mom died almost 20 years ago, so I was only 7 years sober.
Yeah.
When she died, and same thing, I just stuck close to the program. And the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is the foundation of my life.
Yes.
I'm lucky. It's...
To get into there and do a program of recovery is crucial to one's life and part of your recovery plan. Whatever, nowadays, you really have no excuse on why not to run a program of recovery. If it's school or Dharma, like AA, NA, like anything.
Wellbriety.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love Wellbriety.
I love that you've done a lot of them because on this show, Peter and I have tried to have people from every different asset, just like we've done True Colors, we do 4D,
right.
We did Painted Horse Recovery, we did Arbor House last night, and we're doing Oxford House today because we want to get the message out there. There's not just one plan.
There's so many.
And if you don't like this one, right, then do this one. If you have a problem with the higher power thing, it's okay. Not everybody gets it right. At first, it took me a hot second. My higher power was the parole officer.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right. Yes. And Wellbriety, I've found a spot there in Klamath Falls. I go up, there's Oxford houses there. And
Pathfinders got started there too.
Yeah, that community out there with their recovery and the Wellbriety, I mean, it is huge, and it's so welcoming that I have really bad allergies. So when they do the saging, I'm talk shit too, but I'm still going to do it because I'm like, I can't get it in the face. But it's so welcoming when you go out to Klamath Falls. And that's the only place I have done Wellbriety at. But yeah, I just love that. And when I got turned on to those meetings, I'm like, whoa. Just the spirituality in that meeting is huge. And I love that.
Yeah, we've had 2 guests. And then in person at Recover Out Loud, we got to see the drummers.
Yes.
And that was really good. It was loud.
Yeah.
But it was
Get
really,
those goosebumps.
yeah.
What I want to emphasize about and just reiterate what you're saying, all of these meetings that they have they're designed specifically maybe for culture or for individual's identity, but everybody, no matter who you are, is welcome.
Right.
They're very open and welcoming. So if you want to check any of those out, you're free and welcome to be a part of it. And you may find something there that you like. So again, like you were saying, there's no excuse not to have a program of recovery.
It's part of recovery is growing every day. And if you get complacent, if you stop your meetings, if you do all these things, then you're going to start to backpedal. And we're just one blink away from making the bad decision that's going to take us right back, even if not worse, right to where we were. And that's just something I'm not willing to give up.
Yeah.
So I will continuously do all of these things because I feel like if you take one of those things out, I might just slip up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't feel like I'm going to slip up, but I do agree with you about you got to keep growing. And for me, I've taken on new things this year that I haven't done before.
Like doing a podcast.
The podcast, but going into, I did bring an AA meeting to DePaul back in the day, which is now Fora, with a bunch of other ladies, but
love Fora.
Yeah.
Love those people.
Beyond.
Yes.
I just spoke there a couple weeks ago, which is something I wouldn't do by myself before, nor did I feel comfortable around the newcomer for a long time. And I hung out with the solid foundation because I was scared, that fear. And it was a healthy fear, but I broadened on that and it hasn't been easy. Like I was telling you, I'm doing a CMA meeting tonight and I've never been to a CMA meeting. And meth is my drug of choice. I'm a little nervous about that, to be honest.
But I think you listen to yourself and then you will know when you're strong enough to venture out. And I know in the early days for me, my life, because of how I was, I had masks to fit into different things. And I had segregated my life into my normie friends, my work. And so what I remember going and being invited to a party and we were on our way there and I knew what it was like. Everybody would be drinking, it would be getting crazy and silly. And my anxiety just grew. And I was so fearful that if I ended up there, that I was going to slip and I was going to be. And so I turned around and came home and I just avoided the party. Now, back then, I didn't have a strong foundation as I do now. Now, I would call, first of all, the likelihood that I'd be invited to a party like this or even consider going is next to zero. And then if I do end up I have family that's they're normies, but I know that I've got my extended family, my family of choice that I can call and reach out to, or even bring along to make it okay.
I would come pick you up from anywhere.
Exactly.
And anybody who picks on you, I would whoop their ass for you.
Yeah.
You go high, I'll go low.
Exactly. I'm that bitch. Yeah. Like, you won't say shit to me. I'm better though. I'm going to tell you, I really have grown, especially the last couple years, because I really was the person being an only child and being in business for myself, owning the escort service. I took care of me. I did my time. I did all that stuff. And if you messed with me, I think my instant reaction was to protect myself.
Yeah.
And still cuss you out in a heartbeat. The ghetto girl comes out.
Yeah. I'm in recovery for being a bitch too.
Yeah.
I gotta be a better person.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery for being a bitch too.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's what my drug court counselor had said to me. And I was just like, oh, she was like, no matter what you say, because I think I was incarcerated still in the RSAT program. And I had some young lady was coming in to the RSAT program, but I had down the line put a stop to it. I told her think twice about it. And that got caught wind by my drug court counselor that was inside RSAT. And she says, I'm in recovery for being a bitch too. So whatever you're going to throw at me right now, you better think twice about it because you're a mean girl and I'm in recovery for being a mean girl. So you're going to have to, again, stop with your attitude. And then how dare you take this choice away from somebody? Because she ultimately decided not to come into RSAT. She opted to went to prison so she wouldn't be near me.
Yeah, I went to boot camp.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, talk about break you down.
Yeah.
I remember there was a pile of rocks, big rocks. Like I know you guys can't see me, but the rock was as big as a big ham. And there was a bone in the middle of the rocks. So you just couldn't move the rock from pile to pile. You had to move all the rocks off, get the bone, and then put the pile back. And my arms were so sore from moving these rocks. And I had to do it during the hour of free time we had every night.
Oh, okay.
And I almost said, fuck you, just send me back to prison. Because in the morning we're doing 150 push-ups. And my arms were so sore that this guy went and like bumped into me and I was like, touch my motherfucking arm again. Right. See what happens to you. But they broke down any attitude, let me tell you. And if I talked back, drop Lewis. I got so good at push-ups. I came out of there.
Grow up. No way.
Can I tell you? We ran the first 2 months, 2 miles, the second 2 months, 4 miles, and the last 2 months, 6 miles. And I was at Shutters Creek in Coos Bay. And there's a hill that comes right up and we do the hill. And I puked after that hill like you wouldn't believe. And we'd eat breakfast afterward and they'd be like, do you want anything to eat? And I'd be like, I'm cool. But it was good.
Sometimes, please.
Yeah. Oh, there was no Tums. There was no commissary like that. And we had to cut our hair really short.
Yeah, see, I wasn't given the chance to go to camp.
That's because of your charges.
And there were, right when I went to prison in Vegas. So right when I got there was, I can't be housed in general population because of this girl. I can't be housed over here because of this girl. Because when you get to prison, you get to say who you are fearful of or who you cannot be housed with because you might hurt them. And I had at least 5 women that were already there saying that they will not be housed with me because either or will hurt each other. And I was such a bad human at that time. I had just lost my husband of 8 years. So I was really angry and I wanted everybody else to be angry and hurt and sad. And so when I got there, I had to be in the short timers, right? So you have this big pot of 120 women and you were there from 9 months to the door. So I did 1.5 years in there because that's the only place I could be housed. And believe me, it was a dorm setting, completely open, 120 women. You're all bed by bed and across from you was bunk beds. And I was right next to the microwave. And
that's like CRCI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brutal. But if I would have went to camp and had to run and stuff, or send me back.
We went with 86 and only 24 graduated.
Really?
So everybody else went back and did their time. I just wanted to go home so bad that I sucked it up. And only 2 girls made it. There was 12, only 2 made it. And my last name is Lewis. The other one's last name is Lewis too. And she's Black. I'm white. She couldn't read. Okay. I can. And it was there I saw that I had a lot of opportunities going to a Catholic school, been to college that were really being not utilized.
Right.
And I think I did 35 of the resumes. And I remember the teacher aide was like, thank you for helping. And I'm thinking, this lady can't write. You have to have this done to graduate. But I was really mad at the judge for saying, you're smarter than this. You shouldn't have been here. And I was like,
I got past that.
Right. No, I was like, so why do I get more time? And because I got a lot of time for not being in trouble that much. But then Peter and I pulled my record and recently and had Peter printed out. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And I only have 1 felony, two felonies, but they charged me, then they dismissed it, then they charged me. So it looks a lot more.
Well, and for me, I think of all the times that I got away with it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
any little punishment that I was put through was deserved, even though I didn't think so at the time. But looking in hindsight, I was like, yeah, I did
But
get away with a lot.
Right.
My sponsor always says his story isn't deep, right? Just because we went to prison, I hope that someone doesn't. I hope
Right.
you find recovery sooner. I hope, because there's so many meetings now that there's so much more treatment available. There's housing available.
There is housing
There's,
available.
if you want it, if you're willing to put in the
Mhm.
effort, and I will tell you, staying in the program and not relapsing is so much easier
It
than
is.
going the fuck out. These
Right.
people that say, oh, I'm a chronic relapser, you're doing it the hard way. It's like
You
doing
are.
prison on the revolving, you know what I say, doing the life on it by doing 6 months on a violation, then getting a new crime and doing 2 years. Like, just staying in the program is easier than going back out.
Right.
No matter what you're dealing with.
You got to put that ghetto ego aside.
I love that word. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm a ghetto girl.
Yeah. You got to put that I'm better than this because you're not attitude aside and want to be a different person. I've had deaths around me and it still didn't stop me. My child getting taken didn't stop me from doing drugs. It took me somebody to actually care and for God to enter my life and for me to stop being so resentful and somebody to water that seed of recovery along with me. And without Oxford House and without my program of recovery, I wouldn't be where I am today.
So I have a question. You give credit to Oxford House, and oh my God, I love that. My question is, today, what program are you involved with on top of Oxford House?
I still do AA wherever I go. Like I went out to Klamath Falls, I do Wellbriety there. I'll go to the H&I meeting there. Here in Beaverton, I do the AA. There's that Criminon meeting I do over Zoom that I found when I was going in to do a presentation to the Clackamas County Parole and Probation. It was sitting on their board. And I was like, okay, so it's still here and there. I've done my steps 3 times in AA. I haven't done it in an NA yet, but I would love to do it. And it's like wherever the newcomer comes in, if they want to go to a meeting, it's whatever they want that day.
I
That's
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a lot of service work, a lot of stuff in Oxford House.
Yeah,
Bringing
tell
them
us
in.
a little bit about Oxford House and what it's like, and for those who might be interested to.
So Oxford House, what separates us a little bit from other transitional or recovery housing is we're peer driven, right? So coming out of so many years of incarceration, I wasn't going to listen to I've never known it, a house manager or anything like that. So I was ready to be told by my peers that you have to get a job, that you have to be a better person. Here's a program of recovery. It was all suggested. It wasn't shoved down my throat. So being peer driven, being financially self-supporting, like you are put into a house and you, during your weekly house meetings, you're going to decide that your bills are paid, that you're getting Folgers coffee, or that you're going to get another bigger TV.
And that's as a group. The whole house is doing this.
The whole house.
Yeah.
I live at Oxford House Joy right now, which is in Beaverton. That's 10 women. We've just been open for a year, but
It's a nice house.
It is a nice house. And I scored on it because there's like an ADU out back that I share with one other woman. So I'm like, envy me, right? Because I'm like, it's great.
No,
but,
that's awesome.
It is. I've done a lot through the stepping stone of Oxford House that allows me to be who I am today and where I'm at, right? We are no tolerance. So it helped me knowing that if I have a UA or if I have a dirty UA, then I am going to have to leave this place and have a slight ego, and that these people are going to still be my friends, but they're going to talk shit, right? So like, Patty, I'm not just going to go out that door and not have them anymore, but I am not going to have what I had anymore. We are given 24-hour notices if you are in an Oxford House and if you return to drug use. But being peers, we know where you're going to go. We're going to help you get to your family, to that detox. I have one of my coworkers who is always driving that next person to that detox, making sure that you are safe. It's not always the case. Some people are still real deep in their addiction the second that pipe hits or that alcohol hits that lips, and they're out.
I have
Right.
more research to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We ask you in 30 days, come back home.
Oh,
Re-interview
love
us,
that.
come back home. I
didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So if you ever leave an Oxford house due to relapse, then do your 30 days in your detox, your rehab, or at your family's house, and then come back home. That house might not be what's right for you now, but we have many houses. And I think in Oregon, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but about 248 houses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And when I got sober,
Mhm.
it was hard to get an opening at one.
Yes.
It was like because there was one right by MCC, by the Fred Meyers, one of the original ones. And we'd have somebody looking for housing and I'd be like, oh, but there's an Oxford house. I've already tried that. And to get into one was like a blessing back then.
Now it's easy. You're like when you
Easier.
yeah.
Absolutely.
You go to oxfordvacancies.com and you throw in whatever state you want, because we're nationwide. You throw in whatever county you want, and it's going to drop you a list of every house has availabilities. It gives you the house address, phone number, house representatives.
And if you're moving from one state
Yeah.
to another,
Then you call that number and say, hey, I want to interview over the phone, over Zoom, or in person, and then you get accepted, and then you just come on home. There's no waiting lists or waiting time. So once accepted, I would like you to come home as soon as possible, right? So
get
if you
back
get
on track. Yeah.
yeah, if you get accepted and people getting out of treatment and want to go visit for a week with their parents, you're going to do what you want to do, but you're going to hear me say that's probably not the best plan. Let's bring you home, do your 30-day blackout. You can visit until 10, then come home, because
Yeah.
it's fearful for me because I never made it. I
Right.
wouldn't have made it.
Same here. Prison was the timeout I personally needed. I did have resentments about it, like we talked about. I don't now. I absolutely believe it saved my life. But yeah,
It saved my life for that year and a half. I
Yeah.
probably would have been murdered or,
that's
something
what I
would have
think
happened.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, like you said, that when you're coming out of prison, it's not easy to necessarily rent an apartment.
Correct.
Getting an Oxford house, getting you back on your feet, getting you stable housing for a while.
You learn how to pay a bill. You learn how to pay your rent.
Just setting that foundation again with a recovery program. Not everybody needs that, but a lot of people need it more than they think.
Yes.
A foundation and accountability. I think having the P and a no tolerance policy, like there was no tolerance for my parole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that is good.
Yeah, it's part of what I always see where the success has been is when there's an A to B to C program that it takes you all the way through, gives you those. Not only do you get sober, but you get the tools to take life back on again. And that can be the dress for success, getting back out there in the workforce, housing.
GTD. Right. They learn GTD in treatment, and then they have alumni twice a week. So you can stay with that. I personally think treatment, GTD, AA, doing it all is the perfect package. That's what I think. And giving back. I think sometimes, and I just came to this realization in the last couple weeks, I know that because this very smart lady told me, Julie, I can get you clean, but I can't keep you clean.
Correct.
And this was in my treatment center. That's 7. If you're not here, I'm holding up 7 fingers.
They can't see your hands.
And 7 is my favorite number. But she said, and I had long periods of sobriety in that time, but she said, I really think you can do this. Like you said, some kindness.
Yeah.
I really think you can be successful, Julie, but you got to find a meeting and you're going to have to stay there. You're going to have to get comfortable and don't hang out with anybody from here. That's what she said, because they're probably not going to make it. You might be the one.
Right.
And she was right. I didn't, and the one person I did like in that group did go out. And the first meeting I went to wasn't cool. There was somebody high in that meeting. I might have gone to NA. That's where I went first, was NA. But there was somebody high as fuck in that meeting. And I was scared. I was instantly scared, and I went to A the next day. And for me, it was the kinder, softer way. And I also think I wasn't ready to deal with all my scars yet. I think tonight is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you.
I'm scared shit. The one good thing is when I went to AA, I walked into a gay men's meeting and I was the only girl. And I was the only girl for a while. And I gained trust there because I knew they definitely didn't want to have sex with me. And I didn't want to have sex with them. And they just wanted me to be sober. It's a gay men's meeting tonight. And
awesome.
I know that, and it's so funny because I think they said it's something about sex, love, and tolerance. And I'm thinking, okay.
That's even a huge part of my recovery is I've been in and out of toxic relationships my whole life.
I've never been in a healthy one other than my child and AA.
And me neither. And then now it's going on 6 years and the only relationship I have is with myself. Everything that I've gained, every switch of the brain, every car, every piece of clothing, shoes, I've done it because of my own merit and my own push. And I have myself to thank for that. I've never had that before. I don't want to talk shit, but I have no guy telling me what to do, where to go. Can I drive your car? We're going to do this. You can't wear that. And I also am not telling a man to sit down, shut up. Or I've been the abuser before and I've been abused. And then until I cannot treat a relationship like a business transaction, I choose not to be in one. And I don't feel lonely because I have my recovery.
Yeah.
Same.
I have my people. I don't have that need to be wanted or cared for because I give it all to myself. My higher power provides that for me. It's huge.
Erin yesterday, she said, I have my tribe. I love that.
That's right.
That's how I feel. Like Peter's been really blessed. His husband is like, he won the fucking lottery.
Hell yeah.
But same for me. And then I've become so damn independent.
Right.
I make my money. And because I've been fortunate climbing up the ladder, I pay for my nails getting done. I pay for my Air Jordans or my bougie purse. And I like it that way because I've never been one to be told what to do.
Right.
Yeah. And the next relationship I have, which I believe is there and whatnot, it's going to be for all the right reasons. And I know that. And I think I went through IOP, 25 years sober. And I think the cleansing I've done was needed because I had time to do that. But I think relationships are better once you get sober. Look at yours.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% better.
Well, and you're an inspiration to me because what you do works. Like they have such a great relationship. I'm looking for 25% of that. It's that good. I love it.
Part of my recovery was, like you were saying, ego.
Yes.
Resentments, control. So by getting a handle on those three has made my relationship all that much better because that was a lot of what was getting in the way.
Yeah. Do you know that was my anthem? Control by Janet Jackson. Look.
It is what it is. It's my life, or it's my world. You breathe in it and you're welcome. Yeah. So let's just move on. And why aren't you jumping by the halfway through my sentence? And I was really bad about it, but I now have relationship goals and inspirations. I know these people, my friends Larissa and Josh in Roseburg, who was my first initial, wow, that's a healthy relationship, right? They don't jump in to live with each other. They don't talk to each other in a derogatory way. They speak to each other in love and concern, and they're both separate, really great people, and they bring that together, and it's huge.
I love that.
And they make a huge family, and it's beautiful to watch them grow. So until I have that, or until I can stop being so busy as I am, being an outreach worker for Oxford House, you're 24/7, and it's always gratifying. God, I don't go through a day where I want to complain about my life. But until those goals are met, like you said, relationships aren't for me. My recovery's for me, and I'm for me. Right. And I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have that.
That's a good
common.
place to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It is. And it's a safe place. I'm going to say,
And I'm doing it.
and safety, I didn't realize my friend Colette always says her next safe place, her next safe place. I never thought of it like that, right? But that's what I've been doing always in recovery. My next safe place, my next safe place. And when I wasn't in a safe place, it was a trigger like it was for you. Can't talk about that. I signed an NDA. But yeah, no, when I wasn't and I didn't feel safe, that's when I really needed additional help.
Right.
That's when therapy came in. And I'm going to tell you, please don't wait as long as I did, because it's been the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Therapy is great.
Yeah. I didn't do it until 25 years sober.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Since I lost my mom, we were at a house meeting and it didn't even click, but I was letting the girls know like how I was feeling. And I was just like, I think I'm sick. I can't pinpoint what it is, but like the colors don't even see bright anymore. Mm-hmm. And my roommate just looks at me. She's, Patty, that's depression. And I was like, oh, damn, put a name to it. So yeah, counseling is where it's at. That grief counseling, that person that is going to put names to what I'm feeling, so I don't feel so alone in the situation.
Yeah.
And then I'm out of my head, because that's the worst and scariest neighborhood to be in alone. It's in your brain.
And that's when I learned, I didn't know what this word meant. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know I had rumination. I just thought my brain went fast, and I thought that's what made me successful, because I could do a million things. And being an operations manager, you're doing a million things. People are coming to your desk. And I thought that's what really made me successful. And I didn't know that getting an idea and going over it and over again was rumination until I went to IOP. And rumination with negative thoughts is not good.
I have to work through that all the time.
So do I. Yeah. But I have to tell you,
it's a constant battle for me.
It's crazy though. Since the second time in IOP, right? Just got laid off. And it's the first time almost that I don't have a job in 27 years of recovery. I don't know what my next move is. I don't know what I'm doing, but today I can go get the check for GTD, just for success. Mm-hmm. This weekend I can bake 18 dozen cookies that I raised the money for the Portland Rescue Mission. I can chair that meeting tonight.
Right.
And so I've gotten a lot better in what can I just do for today? Is it the podcast? Call my sponsor. I call my sponsor and I talk every day. He texted at 5:50 this morning.
A nerve.
I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah.
He knows better than to do that with me.
Right. Peter gets the night calls. I get the morning calls. Yay. Peter gets the technical stuff. I get the secretarial stuff, but we love it. But yeah, I was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, it's 5:50. But yeah. But I wouldn't miss it for the world. If he didn't text, I'd be like, why haven't you text?
Yeah. I think definitely your story is an inspiration to anybody out there. And what I think people pick up from a lot of the stories that we've had on our show is getting the tools, surrounding yourself with recovery. And that can be from meetings to people to your family of choice. And if someone is listening and is in a similar situation that you were in, what's that pearl that you would give to them to?
Instantly, I said, call me.
We'll put her number on.
I will come, and somebody does care.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there that you are not alone.
That is what I hear so often. You are not alone, and there's hope.
You're right. And then
you're loved, you're wanted, you're needed.
And then it goes for everybody. It doesn't matter what walk of life you are. Some people are like, some demographics were just not, you're loved, you're cared about. There's little to no judgment in a recovery plan. We're all human. But reach out, educate yourself. Please allow yourself to be better and to be treated better, and then come home. Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Come home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start building your own foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Peter, making 3 figures was hugely successful. you've built a new foundation.
Yeah.
Right.
One that's so much more successful for you.
Yeah. And
You
much
know,
more healthy.
and honestly has led
Right.
the way for me.
Yeah.
When we talk about what I want and what I don't want to run a company anymore.
I didn't even know this is what I wanted until I was working at the bagel tree in Roseburg. I was okay with it. I was good. I was making money. I was living in an Oxford house. I was chapter chair.
Bagel sounds good. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Best place of bagels in the world is Bagel Tree in Roseburg. It's family atmosphere.
Shout out to Bagel Tree.
Yeah, they're wonderful. But until one of my coworkers and really good friend, Leaf, he was like, hey, there's a position open in Oxford House. I think you'd be great for it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he was like, hey, did you do that application yet? And then all of a sudden I'm on a interview and I now have a business card instead of a person ID. You know what I mean?
I have your business card too.
And I'm so excited. I didn't know I wanted this life until I had it. And now I will do everything to hold on to it.
You didn't want to do the podcast
beautiful.
alone, and look at you.
When you called me, I was in Klamath Falls and I tried to pass it off to my coworker who's sitting right next to me. And you were just like, nah, it's okay. We wanted you. And so come on down.
I wanted you.
Yeah. I was just okay.
When I heard you went from prison straight to Oxford House,
Yeah.
I was touched at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I didn't meet Mean Girl Patty. I met Blessed Patty.
And it means I'm doing something right. Everybody says I could never imagine you being like that. And it's
So I can imagine it because I've been there and I know myself. But
catch me in a house meeting when somebody's not paying their EES. And I'm like, or when somebody's talking down to another new member or something like that. I'm like, Raleigh.
And I'm going to tell you, because I definitely hang out with almost all gay guys and stuff. Like, mess with one of my dudes. Like, they won't stick up for them necessarily, but I sure the fuck will. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is the strength of, and it is, we've all been there. We've all been scared, anxious, extreme anxiety.
Depressed.
We've all had those feelings. And for me, that led to inaction. And because I was just frozen, and all I wanted to do was go back to what I knew, which for me was drinking. But when you get to that point, you'll have that clarity, a hope, like I did, and many of the people we've talked to, where it's almost like two paths, and it's like, I'm going to take this path.
I'm going to try it for a little bit.
Just why not? What's it going to hurt?
That old life is always sitting there waiting for you.
Oh,
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
And you know what? If the one gift you can't buy is sobriety, and it's priceless. And there's people that are rich that never get it. There's people that might have everything we don't have that never get it. There's people that have what we don't have that lose it all. And it is, I swear to God, the best things in life, keeping your word. You can't buy it. A good work ethic. You can earn it. You can't buy it.
People want me around.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. You can't buy these things. You can't buy true love. You can pay for an escort, get
they're
some
with
sex.
you. They're with you out of wanting to be there, not out of fear.
Yes,
they don't want
exactly.
you. They don't want you to their house to deliver a package. They want to share recovery with you. And I hope that, like what you said there, to whoever's listening, there's so much hope.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
And you might not have all the answers right now. I know I don't. It's
God,
the
no.
thing. My sponsee says her favorite thing about me is that I don't know it all. And so I make suggestions. And that's all I can do is make suggestions. You got to want to do it.
Because once you know it all, then you're the divine spirit, right? I don't know it all. And I choose to continuously remain teachable. And I'm always going to want to grow.
Me too.
Even though I stay uncomfortable. Because nothing grows in the dark. I don't want to be in the dark anymore. I'm always uncomfortable. I'm always going to grow. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to get on stage at the state convention and talk about Oxford House, even though I'm sitting there shaking and sweating.
Oh, gosh,
And so it's crazy because that comes easy for me, right?
Yeah.
But it could be 15,000 people. It's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
I can make friends.
Not for me.
I can
I'm
make
with you.
friends. I can make friends with anyone. But I can be so insecure on what earrings do I wear for this?
Right.
And my outfit for this,
Yeah.
right? Like my insecurities are so dumb even. But again, my sponsor's gay. He'll help me with that. He'll tell me, girl, you know what color? And
probably send
Peter's
you
great
pictures
in that
for him.
area. But it's
Oh my
weird.
gosh.
We're all different in different insecurities.
When I have to do those things, I stand up there and like we have to present in a certain way as being an Oxford House employee, which I get, but I wear blouses and slacks and boots, and I've never dressed that way. This is what you get. Ripped jeans and a Oxford House hoodie or t-shirt. And when we're out in public, I have to be dressed in a certain way. So I'm like always like stiff with it and trying to do the bare minimum of a hill. And it's all those things, right? And that's those are, when I'm dressed like that, I feel completely uncomfortable. I feel like an imposter.
So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And I've dressed very nice for work for a long time. But my dream is always like my new thing is getting these Recover sweatshirts and getting a pair of shoes that match. And I'm trying to make a new wardrobe like this. My True Colors is my softest sweatshirt so far. And then Peter and I have like the Recovery podcast shirts. Peter has more, but we're trying to get those in different colors. But yeah, that's my new fashion sense. I love it.
Oxford House gear for me.
There you go.
Yeah, from everywhere. I
don't have an
multiple-
Oxford shirt, Patty.
Yes, I will have to bring
Wink,
one.
wink.
We are doing our state convention in February, which is held in Eugene. Many people who live in Oxford House will come throughout the state and go to Eugene, and we'll have a big convention.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're getting our new gear out. I'll have to swoop you guys up some. Absolutely.
I love it.
We'll have links. I think I already have a link on our resource page, but there'll be more links in the show notes for this show.
Okay, perfect.
People will be able to
Our
link you.
website is better than most because Peter's freaking brilliant.
Yes.
With the time that I have, I do the best that I can. That's all I can
If it's
say.
easy navigational, then I'm there.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is because I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Look at speaking in front of the 15,000, not a problem. I won't tell you how long getting the podcast picture on something this morning, but yeah. That Peter's going to fix later.
I do new house paperwork and like leases, and I'm constantly sending them out to a couple of my coworkers. My boss, does it look good? Does it look good? And this is at a house opening in Hammond. It's called Fort Stevens. It'll home 8 men. And like just that new house paperwork, I'm constantly like, here, everybody look at it. So it's I know how to do it, but it's just, again, it's like that little insecurity of I don't know technology stuff.
If I didn't have Grammarly and some of those tools to check my work, I wouldn't look half as good as I do.
Right.
The good thing is AI is going to be our friend and write everything for us.
I constantly ask my friend Leaf, how do you professionally say this?
Oh,
and he will back me up of my sarcasm in an email and then roll it out in a professional, stick it to him way. I'm like, I love it.
I've had to do that with just like Melissa, when she was on Native American, I was like, what does this cover art? Is this okay? I didn't want to be offensive because what I grew up with may not be politically correct.
Peter's pretty darn professional.
His do the writing best I can.
No, your writing is
well, it helps that I came from a corporate environment where we were, oh God. Fred Meyer was so bizarre about if I got one person in a list of people for an email before another person that was higher ranked, like by their title or whatever, all hell would break loose.
Control issues.
You put someone in front of the VP. I'm like, I just put it on the list. I didn't know there was an order to this.
I got a housemate.
Just don't call them Robert.
Yeah. You're a housemate. If you put your phone number above that person's phone number because you just got in the house, I got to read it all. I'm like, it's not that bad.
It's so funny. The rules the important rules that aren't as important as you might think.
I want to have to be important for coming today.
Thank you so much.
Beaverton.
This was
thanks for the push.
Not as stressful as you thought it was going to be.
It wasn't. I can't see anybody.
For our future guest, she's attesting to the fact that we are no pressure.
Yeah,
relaxed,
no pressure.
We're easygoing.
It is. There's no wrong. Even though sometimes I'm a little I was scarred over one. There's
Oh,
no
okay.
wrong.
Some of the
Ooh.
stories, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know? So it either takes you back or it's so far from where you were that you're, wow.
Or if you're clean and sober,
Yeah.
or you're on your way and you're looking for housing, we'll have the link on our website
Yeah.
to Oxford House. And you're a miracle. I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful.
Yeah.
Really grateful for you.
I'm glad to know you now, not back in the day.
Yes.
Actually, we could have been friends.
Thanks
Totally.
everyone
Ladies
for
and
listening. Real Recovery Podcast.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you, whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So, until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.